You lived an entire vibrant life before the age of 3. You heard your mother's voice, you tasted food, and you took your very first steps. Yet you cannot remember a single second of it. It's assumed that an infant's brain is simply too underdeveloped to hit the record button. In 1905, Sigmund Freud named this phenomenon infantile amnesia, establishing the long-held belief that the baby brain was essentially a blank slate, incapable of forming lasting traces. In the 1980s, psychologist Carolyn Rovey Collier challenged that view with a simple ribbon. She tied one end to a baby's ankle and the other to a mobile hanging above the crib. The infants quickly realized that a single kick would set the toys in motion. When Rovey Collier returned days later, even 2-month-olds remembered the trick and started kicking immediately. 6-month-olds retained that specific memory for weeks. If infants are successfully recording their lives, the blank spot in our adult minds points to a different reality. Your brain is an active shredder. Part of the explanation is structural. The hippocampus, the engine that encodes experiences into long-term episodes, is still under construction in infants. Its connections to the rest of the brain are not yet fully wired to store data for the long haul. However, hardware limitations are only half the story. In 2014, neuroscientists Sheena Josselin and Paul Frankland proposed a theory that shifted our understanding of how a growing brain handles information. In your earliest years, the hippocampus produces new neurons at a staggering rate. This process is called neurogenesis, and it is the essential biological work required to build the foundational circuits of an adult brain. Josselin and Frankland hypothesized that this growth comes with a trade-off. As each new neuron integrates into an existing circuit, it disrupts the connections that were already there, the very connections that held your infant memories. They tested this by manipulating neurogenesis in mice. In Group A, they accelerated the growth of neurons. In Group B, they slowed it down. Mice with boosted growth forgot immediately. Meanwhile, those with slowed growth held on to memories far longer. The sheer biological energy required to build your brain physically overwrote the neural architecture that contained your first experiences. Beyond the biology, making a permanent autobiographical memory requires a character most babies lack, a sense of self. Most infants do not recognize themselves as separate individuals until they are 18 to 24 months old. In the classic Rouge test, younger babies look at a red dot on their own reflection and assume they are looking at a different child. You cannot recall being an infant because the narrator of your life, the you that experiences things, was still under development. There is also the matter of language. Without words, your early life was encoded only as raw sensory impressions: the texture of a blanket, the temperature of a room, or the pitch of a voice. Language provides the structural container for memory. Without words to organize and label those sensations, the experiences behave like water slipping through fingers, present in the moment, but impossible to hold. This structural requirement is reflected in cultural data. Research by Chi Wang found that the age of our earliest memories varies depending on how much a culture emphasizes personal storytelling. Among the Maori of New Zealand, where oral history and personal narratives are central to life, the average first memory dates back to 2.5 years old, significantly earlier than in Western or East Asian cultures. Without an identity to anchor the experience, and without language to package it, those years remained a series of passing sensations with no permanent home in the mind. Infantile amnesia is the result of 3 forces colliding: a missing identity, the absence of language, and a storm of new neurons overwriting old circuits. This creates an existential gap. If that early brain was physically deconstructed to make room for your current one, is that baby actually you? Physically, the connection is unbroken, but neurologically, that infant was dismantled, neuron by neuron, to provide the scaffolding for the person watching this video. Forgetting your infancy represents a necessary biological sacrifice, the clearing of land to build a more complex, permanent mind. Your earliest experiences provided the raw materials for your identity. Building the version of you that exists today required the physical overwriting of the one that came before.